So if I'm watching this and maybe I feel this is maybe my weakness, would you recommend that I maybe hire a coach or maybe just find an accountability partner who's maybe a little more successful than I am? Or what would you recommend I would do if I kind of buy into this idea? Where could I start maybe?
Well, I would think you would, for me, I think my advice would be do what I did. Again, I was not strong in the detail.
Yeah.
And when I thought about being strong in the detail, I got tired immediately. It's like, just let me go to sleep. So I knew that I would have to get somebody in my life that I would be meeting with on a regular basis that would be able to tell me, take these steps, and then checking up with me, did you take those steps?
There's actually a guy that I talked to today about you, but he actually is a guy who's in Las Vegas, and he is very good at the details, but he's not good at the sales.
Oh, wow.
And he wanted a guy who could get up there and share with people some principles and was an articulate speaker. And I immediately, I was like, Clay Stairs. Boom! But it's interesting because here's a guy who, he had the mastery of details, but as we look at over these traits, of these leadership traits, the pleasing personality was the one he was missing.
Yeah,
so
it's very interesting. I was talking to a gal on the phone today about a company that she's wanting to start, and I was just trying to get to her goal. What is your goal? What is the? I met her at a speaking engagement earlier this week, and I'd given them an opportunity to set a 48-hour goal. What are you going to do in the next 48 hours? 48-hour action item. And so I'm going, okay, so did you do that? And well, I didn't do this. And so, I mean, I'm just hammering away trying to get to this thing. I never did get to it with her. Probably talked to her on the phone for 15 minutes.
Oh, man.
And she just kept like going here and going there. I finally finished up with, okay, it just seems like you're a little scattered. It's going to be very hard for you to build until you get something sturdy, until you get something that's a little bit more stable.
Now I want to ask is principle number 10. It's the willingness to assume full responsibility.
Oh.
Napoleon Hill says the successful leader must be willing to assume responsibility for the mistakes and the shortcomings of his followers. If he tries to shift this responsibility, he will not remain the leader. If one of his followers makes a mistake and shows himself incompetent, the leader must consider it is he who failed. If I'm somebody who, admittedly, let's say, is struggling with this idea of the willingness to assume full responsibility, what would you recommend that I do, or I guess how would I go about doing that?
Right. Well, there's three things I want to talk to you about on that, Clay. First of all, rather than taking responsibility, I would play the victim.
Oh yeah.
You know, people do this all the time, and I know that I'm playing the victim when I begin with the excuses. Well, it wasn't my fault, it was this, it was that, it was this thing, it was the one-armed man, and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't my fault, and I come with excuses.
Yeah.
So first of all, what we've got to be able to do is as soon as we begin to feel those excuses come up out of our mouth, realize, wait a minute, that's me not taking responsibility. And we arrest ourselves at that moment. Again, it's going back to that discipline that we were talking about, that self-control, not allowing ourselves to go and play the victim. And the second one, Clay, is if the victim doesn't work, playing the victim and using the excuses, if that Jedi mind trick isn't working, then I'll go to the second one, all right? Or maybe this is the one, it's my go-to. It's the one I've got in the back pocket that I always pull out. And this is always a fun one. We use manipulation.
Oh yeah.
And this is simply when we begin to use emotion to get our way. Either I'll get really small and pull the puppy eyes, so you'll think, oh, well, I don't want to hurt him. Or I'll get really big and act angry and kind of puff up and try to force myself. But I begin to use manipulation as a leader. And I'll try to manipulate the people to do something. So again, if to take responsibility, as soon as I begin to get into that place of emotion with people, I go, wait a minute, that's me not wanting to take responsibility. Just back out of that thing and go, you're right, I need to do this, as opposed to blaming other people or using emotion to get my way. And then the third one, if all else fails, I simply go to distraction. And that's just other stuff. Yeah, I didn't do that, but look at everything else that I did. You know? Yeah, I didn't do that one thing you told me to do that you said was really important. If I didn't do it, I'd get fired.
Yeah.
But look at everything that I did do. And a lot of times those other things that I did do really may not have been really important. They may have been just smaller things. But I will point at them and try to act like, but look how productive I am when I really didn't do what I was supposed to do. And so once again, if I'm doing that as a leader, then I'm coming in and I'm telling people, yeah, we didn't get the things done that I was wanting to get done, but I would start looking at some other points and other things that have gotten done. And Clay, I've had in all three areas people leave me because I would use these different Jedi mind tricks with folks.
So, I mean, you've recognized in your own life, I mean, so you're pretty self-aware. I mean, you've recognized that you no longer could point the blame somewhere else. You had to accept responsibility for where you were in life?
Oh, totally, totally. Because what I began to find was when I would do these, people they lost confidence in my leadership. They didn't feel like I was really going to be able to get myself, the company, or them where we were wanting to get. Because if I started to make a mistake or if things weren't working out, I would go to excuses or I would manipulate them, you know, and a lot of times with me, I would just manipulate using my real pleasing personality that we were just talking about a second ago. Hey, you know, and I would come in and get the smile, but hey, don't I look good? Don't you love me? Type of thing, and try to manipulate.